What I'm really saying is that this is about change, and change is a complex and difficult thing because people love the idea of it but tend to hate the reality of it. And I think that this is a period in Stoke and Staffordshire which is really quite significant. What I observe is that you've got a lot of interesting people coming together in one place, and that's always a good sign. You've got some strong individuals in the city, you've got some strong individuals in the county. The city has got much more political stability than it had before. You've got strong representation around the universities and the colleges, and all of this is about the fabric of the place coming together. And I think to some degree there's a bit of rallying around this that needs to take place. So I tend to look at this with a bit of affection coming out of one eye, but a bit of calculation and a bit of sort of fairly hard-nosed stuff coming out of the other eye. So I got a phone call in about November saying, do you want to go to Stoke? So I said no. And then I got another phone call saying, do you want to go to Stoke? And I said, well, what was wrong with the first answer? And then I thought, well, they've been down in Bath and Bristol for about 8 years, and a contract there was coming to an end. I better go and get a bit of interview practice and that sort of thing. And then I met John van der Larscott. And since I've met him, I've been working about 14 hours a day. I've been up here, and we've got a heck of a task on our hands. And I think you also have a bit of a task on your hands, because I ran a quiz in Bristol the other day about what do people know about Staffordshire, and I haven't had a reply yet. The point is that this part of the world does have a bit of a problem with how it's perceived from other parts of the world. And us southerners, we don't look very far north, and actually there is not much profile in this part of the world, and what profile you've got is not great. However, I think you do have fantastic opportunity, and actually I can tell you now that from the 5 or 6 months I've been here, my perception has radically changed. All that means is there is a message from this place that's not getting out there, and that is our responsibility to get that message out, not people's responsibility to do it for us. So what can we think about? Well, government policy, well, they've got 3 policies: growth, growth and growth. And that's what they need, and that's what they need from us, and that's what we're going to have to deliver. I'm going to talk a little bit about LEP and then a bit about the mandate for change. So, the local enterprise partnerships. For those of you that don't know about it, this is where the action is. There are basically 39 of them across the country. Sarah actually sits on the local authority, and the one in Staffordshire is made up of the local authorities, the county, multifarious businesses. It's chaired by Ron Dugan from Dove Housing, and is effectively where government are going to be putting a lot of their money. So if you don't know about LEPs, find out about LEPs. My team can help you. You can talk to Steve Lovett, who's in the room today, or contact me directly, or effectively get through to Andrew Briggs in my office. Basically, they've just been awarded 137 million quid from structural funds from Europe, and there's another single pot of money to come. It's about growing the economy in this part of the world with 50,000 jobs over the next 10 years. And it's about government's effective replacement of the RDAs by giving an organisation no money to run itself, asking it for business and the local authorities to work together and effectively create policies. And I'll tell you a little bit about how that is, how that's going to operate. The LEP area is a Staffordshire area. Obviously, we're in Stoke. You can see that it's got a membership of 20 local authorities, and I've told you who the chair is. I've got to say that there is some work going on about looking at how the LEP operates. I think probably those on the LEP have realised they've got themselves in a bigger game than they may have volunteered for in the first place. And I think with the new arrangements around a single pot and how government are going to fund in the future, this has become quite a significant, well, it's become a very significant thing. That's led us to the opportunity to talk to government about a city deal. And the city deal for Staffordshire and Stoke is called Powerhouse Central. It's intended to be around about 26,000 new jobs on top of the other jobs, so it's an acceleration programme. It's got a capital value of potentially getting close to £500 million. It will be 170 million from government, 140 million from the local authorities, and the rest made up from the private sector. And we anticipate that that will create a growth over 20 years of an increase in the GDV of the area of about £3.5 billion. So this is the government's big initiative to try to get the UK out of where we are and into strong growth. And the bid from this part of the world is split up into effectively four elements. The first is energy, and this is our unique opportunity in this part of the world. Government love it, and actually it goes back to the DNA of the whole of Stoke. I mean, basically Stoke is sitting here because it was sitting on a whole bunch of energy with some clay next door to it in a good connected network. What we're doing is saying that there's a new type of that energy still there, which is coal bed methane, which is effectively enough energy in this proposal for 80,000 homes over 10 years. So 500 gigawatts of energy is potentially sitting underneath the ground in Stoke on coal bed methane, and then you've got geothermals and particularly biomass, etc. So this is a big push led by the local authority in conjunction with the private sector to effectively try to make Stoke partially non-dependent on grid-based energies. So that those industries that are particularly hungry for energy in this part of the world can get price stability and some certainty from local sources of energy. And there's a huge amount of work going into that. This will be a big opportunity for the industry to actually provide a lot of services. The investment's about 117 million quid over the next couple of years, of which the local authority is going to put in about 19 and government going to put in about 30. And we think it's probably the defining and different point of offer from other city deals. The next theme will be about innovation, and this is about the inability of the UK to turn pure research into applied opportunities and effectively cash in on research. And the thinking is that we in this part of the world, because of our strong engineering background and the strength of the materials research that's going on around ceramics and polymers and some really clever stuff that's being done in Ceram in the universities, that this would be the place for the UK to have an innovation in materials centre. So again, we're talking about 150 million quid's worth of investment. I won't rattle through all these numbers. They are big numbers, and they are potentially going to produce quite a change in our profile in terms of the UK. The next large part of it is skills, and Sarah's already indicated the opportunities there. But one of the things that is a bit scary about this part of the world, I did a bit of research on people in the population with educated to degree level. The national average is 34%. Where I've just come from in the southwest is 45%, and this part of the world is 19%. In terms of people with no qualification, Stoke-on-Trent has got 20%, national average is 10%. There was a gap of around about 11% below national average on what we were getting for 5 GCSEs. That gap is closing, and we're down to about 7%. So there are some figures in this part of the world that are not great in the skills area, but at the end of the day, it's a challenge, but it's also opportunity. And we can see that the educational authorities are doing whatever they can. I mean, the council's just spent 280 million quid putting in 18 new BSF schools, and we're already beginning to see a little bit of the coming from that. The other thing about LEPs and what the government are doing is devolved money. So we've just been given £4.5 million a year for 10 years, which is actually at discretion of the local authority and the colleges as to how that money will be spent through the LEP on the skills agenda, which for the first time really is money that's a bit more free than it has been in the past. And that's about trying to get 1,200 people back to work. And the last part of it, which is as much what you're interested in, is about the sites. There are 8 sites going forward in the city deal, which are linked to energy and jobs. There's about 70 million quid's worth of government money going in, about 80 million quid from the local authorities. The total site area is about 168 hectares, and there's 220 million quid's worth of investment that is coming into these sites with a view to trying to create 5,000 apprenticeships and 1,200 high value jobs. And those sites will be in those locations. And I'll quickly read them off: Keele, Etruria Valley, City Centre, Fenton, Blythe Bridge, Meaford, Litchfield Park and Branston Locks. This is currently subject to a negotiation with government at the moment. This might change, but broadly that's what's intended to be brought forward in the next 3 to 8 years.